Silver Palace is a brand new open world 3D action RPG set in a Victorian era featuring gothic fairy tale aesthetics and centered on detective reasoning. I've had the pleasure of streaming this for the last few days. The studio reached out to me and asked if I would be at all interested in not only doing sponsored streams, but also a sponsored dedicated video covering my general thoughts and also showcasing what the game is to my audience. And I said, yeah, I've been interested in this game for a while. With this in mind, if you're at all interested in a beautiful game with fun action combat and an open world to explore, then I urge you to take a moment, go down into the description, the pinned comment below, click that link, pre-register for the game right now, because trust me, you're not going to want to miss out. Now let's start off with the art style. This is a beautiful game. It features a gothic 19th century European dark fairy tale aesthetic. The characters are stunning. The character body types are incredible. The NPC design is very diverse. They're actually more detailed than a lot of games I've seen. It features a very realistic graphical style. It has very Victorian era-esque inspired artwork. Seeing the city brought to life in a way that I've never seen in a style of game that I've never played. Wandering the streets, seeing all the NPCs, taking all the side quests. It has been an insane experience. The tone of the game is dark. There are werewolves and vampires. There's death. There's destruction. And at the center of it all is you, the detective, as you're solving not only what happened to a very close personal acquaintance of yours. I'm not going to spoil anything here. You're going to have to play the game to kind of discern who that is, but also things that are going on with other NPCs, that are going on with other playable parts of your core cast of characters as well. This is a game that blends so many different forms of storytelling and narrative together and delivers it in a cinematic way, a way that is just so much more beautiful, expressive, and emotive than a lot of us are used to in the genre. Every individual chapter features its own standalone mystery that is inspired by a separate classical fairy tale, and piecing each of these things together, trying to form a complete understanding of the core narrative, has been an absolute pleasure and so enjoyable. Not only does it tell the story in a traditional way, where you're presented the story, you're presented characters that tell the story, that are integrated into the story in their own specific way, but you also collect clues. You go to the clue board and you piece together various different clues to come up with the ultimate conclusion, and subsequently boss fight, big revelation, and seeing all of this unfold, man, I didn't expect it. You don't see it coming until you actually play it. Now, I will point out before we go any further into this though, because I know that you might be thinking after looking at some of the gameplay on screen right now that it doesn't look perfect. The game is in its very first closed beta stage, which means that a lot of this is subject to change. The graphics, the textures, the combat, the features, mechanics, elements, everything has the ability to change over time. As this is the very first closed beta, there are going to be aspects of the game that are incomplete, which means that you should definitely temper your expectations and not expect anything too perfect. There's really only so much that you can do and accomplish in your first beta test. I'm sure the second beta, the third beta, if there are additional beta tests held, are going to be much more complete, better optimized, going to be more stable, going to feature more content. Now let's talk the combat. Man, is this a fantastic selling point of the game. This game features both an offensive and defensive style of play. What I mean by that is, on the one hand, you can take the offensive. You can use both close range and long range attacks, guns and swords, but at the same time, you can also, it focuses largely on parrying. Like, you can dodge their executions. There are parries, which are, I think, the focal point of the combat style. Because a lot of it, they have those indicators, the yellow circles around them that indicate they're going to utilize a parry or utilize an attack that you can parry. And that is where the combat loop happens. So you'll be meleeing them or shooting them long range, and then they come in with that yellow circle around them. You parry the attack. Sometimes it allows for you to move to the side or move behind or get some distance. Sometimes it allows for you to successfully dodge. Sometimes it knocks them back and provides opportunities for you to actually land a hit that you wouldn't have been able to otherwise land. This is what I mean by offensive, because that is when you're utilizing your abilities, utilizing your ultimate ability and attacking them. And then you have the defensive style, which is making sure you're aware of what's going on, focusing on memorizing the attack patterns of each respective boss, and then subsequently parrying it. That way you can maximize your damage output, and this is especially important when you're going to be tackling the timed content. You can also swap your characters in real time. Each character has what is essentially like an intro, outro ability where when swapping to them, they do a certain thing, perform an attack, perform an ability, have a passive effect on your team. This provides a lot of unique team synergy, along with balances each individual character, giving you a lot of control and depth over the flow of battle. As an example, a character that both Mrs. Stix and I used was Elf. Elf uses a shotgun. She can attack at range, and what this does is essentially fill up the stun gauge, and once the stun gauge is full, you can maximize your damage through various different combos that aren't available if you don't utilize the stun gauge by utilizing ranged characters, or at the very least a ranged weapon type. To add on to the combat, there is a silvercraft system. Only one silvercraft can be equipped per team. This is something that you can grind, that you can earn and find while out in the world, that also provides you an in-combat boost. This is something that you don't need to activate or use in any form. The world is just brimming with beauty, things to find, things to do. There are, as I noted, the main story is something that you can pursue if you want to, and you're going to need to if you want to continue the game. But outside of the actual story, there are side stories or sub stories that comprise the world that just help you learn and experience everything that the world has to offer in the most compelling way. The main story has been absolutely fantastic so far. I don't have any complaints with it at all. It moved along very fast. It wasn't a convoluted mess like some games are. The side stories and the side quests are, I think, less impressive. They're more kind of generic and standard, not in a bad way, but in a way where they're like, go out and find certain things or run to this person, talk to that person. At present in the beta, it's nothing fancy, but they are prevalent. There are many side quests and sub quests around the world that you can just find. You can be running past people and see people that are in need of help. You can find treasure chests out in the world. You can find lots of little things out in the world that you can earn that can boost your XP, that you can use to boost your team and enhance your team. There is a lot of exploration both on land and in the air. You can ride a mount. Your little aquatic horse thing actually allows for you to fly through disguise. It does have a set amount of stamina that you can top up regularly. There are these little blue spherical shaped air currents that when you run on with your mount essentially eject you up into the air, and as long as you're flying over or through them, it tops up any of the flight stamina that you have, and this allows for you to freely explore the world really fast. It's not tied to any specific character. There's no gating whatsoever, and you freely move through and can do absolutely anything that you want at any point. You can also explore the world via the grapple hook, which is essentially these little purple icons that appear that allow for you to get to higher ground or to get to areas you can get to. There are puzzles out in the world. There are large bosses out in the world. We did a lot of this on stream. I think I successfully accomplished every single thing in the game on stream, and I can safely say, after having experienced everything. And I also want to point out with regards to boss fights, oh my god, does this soundtrack for this game absolutely freaking kill it. It brings the game to life in a way I didn't expect. Some of the dude with the scythe, as an example, the dude with someone's the I think they were Dobermans. Man, he has one of the best soundtracks in the entire game. When Mrs. Stix and I heard it, we were just like, yo, what is this? Is this a music development company, like a soundtrack company? Do these people prioritize? Do they like design the music first and then design the scene around the music? Because that's what it sounds like. It actually genuinely, the music was incredible, which is, I think, a common theme about all of this. I think the game overall, for the very first closed beta test, which I want to stress again, that is what this is. This is not a final version of the game. This is the first closed beta test. I think what they've done has been very well received. There are a few little things that I do think need improvement. I think that it'd be great if we had some kind of sweep feature or ability to essentially multiply the rewards you get from running instance content for materials like XP items or in-game currency. I also think it'd be great if we could jump. But I mean, maybe these are things that are works in progress. These are, I think, what the majority of people on my stream, and there have been thousands of people, tens of thousands of people actually, that have been watching the streams that I've done. I think those are the only things that any of us want. And at the end of the day, I think constructive criticism is great. I think that this beta test has been one of the better ones that I've done. And I think that things can realistically only go up from here. So if you're interested in playing this game, and you really should be, because this game has been a ton of fun so far. Again, I urge you to go down, click that link in the description, the pinned comment below. Come on over, join us in waiting for the game, because it is going to be a banger. I know you think that you just hit the end of the video, and technically, yeah, you have. And I know your first reaction is to close out of it at this juncture, but don't. No, instead, I urge you to take a moment here and click one of the videos on screen that are coming up in just a moment, so you remain up to date with everything going on in the gacha genre. Trust me, you're not going to regret doing so. Stay flaccid.